This week on New to You, Woe Yuletide Them Pt2, The Ventures Christmas album. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of The New to You Show. I'm one of your hosts, John Holt. With me this week,
Keith Allen Vincent, one of your other hosts.
And Julian Cage, another one of your hosts. And with us again this week,
Dan McCoy. Hi, I'm a guest. Hello.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
Dan hanging in there with us.
Yep.
And it was cool. Like, we had a record last week, and Dan decided he could come back.
Mm-hmm.
He was just like, that was so fun last week. I'm going to come back this week and record again.
Non-stop. To do what? To
talk
recommend and review things
That's
around
right.
the water cooler.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, the water cooler's back.
I thought we were beyond the
weird.
water cooler.
It's weird that you set up all these microphones around this water cooler. But
Yeah.
We like to stay hydrated.
I have a
informed.
plug-in that removes that like sound.
But we recommend stuff. Maybe you've seen it before, but maybe with our take on it, you might see it in a whole new light, right?
Sure.
That's why when we say sometimes it might not be new to you, but it's new to
It'll
you,
be
right?
new to you
Something
because
like
we're
that.
making you watch it or listen to it again.
Do we make people do anything, though?
I think
Do you
so.
think we have that power?
Yeah.
That's some confidence right there.
Keith,
enough throat clearing.
Keith, you're up on deck this week,
Yes.
and that's about it, right?
That's it. Let's talk about
Let's
it.
go right into your pick.
All right.
What is You'll Be Woe Tied You to Me beans
So
to you?
So you said as
Beans to you is what you said.
That was my aphasia talk.
All right.
you said it's like woe be
Woe
you'll be.
Yuletide Them.
So why is it the them? What is the them?
Well, those who listen to the show.
Got it. Got it. So last week, Holt talked about what that meant to him. I don't understand. So I was just like, I'm just going to talk about something I like at Christmas. And I guess the kind of like, he had mentioned that it's kind of wrapped up in some Appalachian saying of like a curse or whatever that Sandy Denny talked about, some British record.
Sure.
Cursed be thee who,
Listen
climbs
to
yonder mountain or whatever.
Surf music on
Yeah.
Christmas.
So along those lines, the curse of these times is that you're inundated with Christmas music. There's no escape. I mean, there's an internet game of these people that sign up, and whoever can go the longest time before Christmas without hearing the drummer boy, it's like an ongoing contest. And sure enough, it always ends. So like all these people who are, I think, actively trying not to eventually even hear it. So it's inescapable. There's such a market for it, and there's such a deluge of music. All Christmas music kind of gets bunched together and like, well, it's Christmas music, it's all. Over the years, I had kind of been given the mantle at some times for like making a mix for Christmas music at this job or that job. And I don't know, I just kind of started compiling kind of my pantheon of Christmas music stuff. And high atop the Mount Rushmore of Christmas music, in my opinion, is The Ventures' Christmas record from 1965. Came out November 1st. By The Ventures. The Ventures were a band coming out of Tacoma, Washington, started by this fella named Don Wilson, and the two heads were Don Wilson and Bob Bogle, I guess. I don't know how to say his name. I'm assuming it's Bogle. But these two guys met in Washington when one of the guys tried to buy a car from the other guy's dad, and they chatted about music, and they became surf music legends eventually. What I like about this record is it's got all the classics on there, and it's got like one original that I would say is the one kind of, you can't just throw this whole thing in a mix for Christmas, because the one Scrooge song, they wrote a song called Scrooge, which is more like it sounds like a Halloween song. It's got like the don 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 right in the song, which is kind of funny. But other than that one song, you can just throw all these songs right into any Christmas mix, and it's just like, I don't know, it's just classy. It sits in the back. It doesn't try to do too much. And when you do take the time to pay attention, I think it just pays it just pays you dividends, if that's how you even use that terminology. What I find really interesting is just making Christmas songs out of this surf music kind of style in and of itself is a little novel. But what these guys do is they take it to another level, and these guys are at like a whole nother level of musicianship. And instead of just giving you Frosty the Snowman, they give you Frosty the Snowman, but it's like a proto mashup. So a lot of their songs are kind of these mashups of like hits at the time, and they kind of fade in and out of these Christmas songs. So the version of Frosty the Snowman that's on this record also has thrown in there kind of hints and references to the song Tequila. And they kind of just go together, magically, like Christmas and Hanukkah. The song Santa Claus is Coming to Town is kind of mixed in with the song Wooly Bully in a clever way. And Jingle Bell Rock has the song Memphis by Johnny Rivers kind of as a theme to it. It's just wonderful. And all their songs, I'm sure every one of the songs on here has some reference that these are just the ones that I know of. I'm sure some of them have references to songs that I don't know, But going down the line, like every song on this record is just as good as the next. And even that Scrooge song that I kind of lampoon a little is still like a really fun song. It's just, I don't know, just not really super Christmassy.
Yeah.
For anybody out there just looking to kind of, if you haven't ever heard this and you're looking to kind of mix it up during Christmas time, throw this in there with your Bowie and
Vince Guaraldi, of course.
Yep, throw this in there with Vince Guaraldi. I like to sprinkle in a little bit of Dave Brubeck, Time Out.
Phil Spector's Christmas album is
very good. Yes, definitely on the Pantheon. Ronnie Spector, and really good. But that's pretty much all I have to say, I guess. To get technical, the drumming in this record is really nice. It's like super mechanical. Whoever the drummer is just right on. And they're really high in the mix, which is kind of nice for a Christmas song. And of course, the two guitars just great. And what's nice is they throw in some sprinkles of some either xylophone or glockenspiel or whatever dingy instrument this one happens to be. And it's just kind of magical. It's just it's just a good alternative to hearing yet again Mariah Carey singing.
Yeah. Do you know a little bit more about the Ventures, about where they were coming from, what their
Not really.
What their normal catalog is like?
Well, I mean, you've heard a bunch of their songs from the Pulp Fiction soundtrack. Surf music like standards,
that's primarily what they're known for.
Surf music.
Them and Dick Dale, kind of those guys and Dick Dale. Who are the guys that sang Dead Man's Curve? Something Dave and
I don't know.
Sam and Dave, is that?
Sam and Dave.
Well, I'm mixing it up because there's a Sam and Dave might be the guys that sang Soul Man.
They are those guys.
Okay, so there's another two-name band from California. Those guys are from
Jan and Dean.
Thank you. Those three bands really kind of established what would later be considered surf rock. And then the Beach Boys really, took it to a different level. Who's the guy that Some Velvet Morning? He married Nancy Sinatra.
Yeah.
He actually was a kind of a innovator in the
Lee Hazelwood.
Yes. As him producing and those like three bands, they really kind of established this kind of like they through this movement. They kind of invented modern day reverb and guitars. Like they really kind of created that sound. They created this band called the Trashmen, who you might know from Bird is the Word. The urban legend is that they created kind of our modern version of distortion by poking holes in their speakers to try to get more of a rattly sound. It's made famous by the song Rabble Rouser, which isn't them, but which is a band that credits them with creating it. Lee Hazelwood is supposedly pivotal in creating this like reverb sound by taking an old farm silo from like a grain silo and putting microphones in it and having guitarists having the guitar amplifiers in there just bouncing around off of there. Again, I don't know how much of these things are apocryphal and how much of them are true, but these are just some of the kind of surf music legends.
I mean, I know that like a lot of musicians like Gene Simmons and the guy from The Who, one of those guys The Who were big fans of this music. The Beach Boys actually said like, I learned Claire Wilson from the Beach Boys. Is it Claire Wilson? I don't know. One of the Wilson from the Beach Boys said he like lists. That's where
there's three Wilsons in the Beach Boys.
Yeah, I think it's Claire.
Dennis,
Ryan,
George, and Brian. I think Carl, Dennis,
that's one of the not Claire.
Carl. Got it.
Another C word, but Carl Wilson credits the guitar playing in the Ventures to like that's where he like got tone from and got.
Yeah.
And the Beatles loved them. Like they were a pivotal band, and they were also innovating. Like they were the first ones using fuzz distorter pedals before those existed. So
They were creating these things that
things.
people eventually made pedals for.
On this album, they used the vocoder
Yeah.
on Silver Bells for like this
Yeah.
is one of the first like times that you see vocoder used, and they were
Later made famous by Peter Frampton.
right. So they so there's a lot of innovation that they're doing and playing, and they're just master technicians and craftsmen, and people learn. People learned off of them.
Yeah, and when you listen to this record, it feels effortless too, which is kind of the other fun thing. It just feels like people just having fun. My first exposure to the Ventures actually was this Batman record that I don't know if it was for the movie or what, but there was a record. It was like Ventures play Batman. Just them playing like songs that sounded like they came right out of the '60s television show. So in fact, one of their songs is called Zonk, which is like one of the sounds that like when
Splash balloon.
Exactly. So that's about it. I mean, I actually have a fondness for a lot of Christmas carols, and this one I think is right there for anyone to explore. It's really great. It's easy too. It's an easy one to listen to.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's funny because of the theme, I was like expecting this to be a bad record. And I started playing it, and at first I'm like, well, maybe it's just like elevator music or something. And then as it kept going, I was like, oh, I kind of like this. And I was like, oh, this is really good. I was like, I hope Keith actually likes this, or I'm going to feel weird. Yeah, it especially was when Santa Claus is Coming to Town came on. It starts out kind of straight, and then it has this weird bridge thing where it changes tempo or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
What would you describe what's happening there?
Well, it's a key change.
Okay,
There's
yeah,
definitely
key
a key
change,
change. Yeah.
And it's like full of little playful surprises like that, where you can tell because it's kind of familiar because it's these familiar songs, but then they always put some little twist on it, and you can tell they didn't want to be bored with it. And,
Yeah.
And they were very inventive, and yeah, so it's a lot of fun. And I also like the nostalgic quality because of the recording
sounds,
quality of
yeah.
it. It's got a little noise and warmth to it that's really nice and
A vinyl
nostalgic
kind of
feeling.
feel, yeah.
So that adds another extra something to it. But yeah, it's definitely gonna add it to my Christmas
good.
rotation.
So what else? What other notable like sure things do you have in your Christmas?
I really liked the.
No, I'm just saying
Oh,
outside
sorry,
of the Ventures record.
I mean, I think we already mentioned a lot of them. Definitely the Peanuts Christmas
Yeah.
special is like Vince Guaraldi is like high up there. I mean, I listen to that one even when it's not Christmas. Like,
Yeah.
that's how much I like it. There's some like just kind of dumb stuff I listen to, like the Home Alone soundtrack, just because I also love Home Alone. It's like one of those. It's
Right age at the right time.
Yeah, it's my holiday movie.
Why don't we talk
watch
about
it every
that?
Christmas.
Why don't we talk about that next week?
Because it's not woeful.
Sure it is. It's a movie about child being abandoned
That's true. But I don't know.
and overlooked.
And not finding his Mr. T.
But he did find the old man with the shovel, which
And
is kind of like his Mr.
That's
T.
right.
It's true. I'll try to just think of something else. I know there's a couple others, but
No, I didn't. I mean, I'm kind of putting you on the
Sufjan
spot.
Stevens has a really nice.
Do you really? I mean, he's got literally hundreds of Christmas songs.
He's got a
now.
he
Christmas
has
album.
he has one.
No,
album.
he's got several albums now.
Well, I guess maybe the first one he put out.
Gold,
then?
is it called Gold?
No, hold on, I gotta look it up now. So yeah, I just can't come up with it. How about you, Dan? Do you got any Christmas?
The Phil Spector one is like the most modern one my parents used to play something called the Christmas Revels. It's actually like a solstice celebration that they would do in Cambridge, and it would be like really old, like Christmas music. Like one of the songs would be like, "The boar's head in hand bear I, bedecked with sage and rosemary." Like there's that kind of Christmas music.
Talking about carrying around a pig's head.
Yeah, and
That's
like
awesome.
Like
a lot of lost
madrigals.
sailing type songs and like little readings from it's not even like because it was like a solstice thing, like it's not even necessarily, it's like some of it is religious but some of it is just like of the winter, you
Yeah.
know.
I think
And
I
that was
went
a
to
very
one
good
in Cambridge.
What?
I went to one of those
Oh,
in
yeah?
Cambridge. It was like
In Massachusetts or England?
in Massachusetts.
No, but are you talking about
I think it is
England?
Massachusetts.
Oh, okay.
But they had it was like tied in with the Green Man, and like it was a Yule celebration.
Yeah.
What's the Green Man? Is that the like proto Christmas?
He's like a druidic like big guy. He's that you see the face? It's like got leaves on it.
He's on like
not Krampus.
Not Krampus.
Okay.
Sound like cans of vegetables and stuff.
He goes, ho, ho, ho.
Yep.
Not Santa.
But yeah, the Sufjan album I'm thinking of is called "Songs for Christmas"
Yeah.
from 2006, and
Yep.
I like it a lot. It's nice, but very.
I feel like
pretty religious,
that's a little hit and miss on that. I mean, there's some
It's
that are
true.
really great, and some of them are just like, come on, man, you didn't have to put that on a record.
That's
So,
true. It's
Dan,
a lot,
what did you think of the record?
It's a lot of tracks.
I liked it a lot. I mean, I like surf music, although it's hard for me to listen to a lot of surf music at once.
Yeah.
But I definitely am a fan, and it took me like a little while to sort of like catch on to what the record was doing. Like I think it was like a couple tracks in that I think I recognized the riff to "I Feel Fine," the Beatles riff, like
Yep.
down, 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 like which now we have to pay the Beatles, but and then I was like, oh okay, yeah, this is this proto mashup thing that they're doing, and which was definitely confirmed once Tequila was basically played with what was that, Frosty was over that,
Yeah.
I mean. Which is interesting. Like, it's like I don't know why they would do that, other than they're just trying to amuse themselves, sort of. And I think that spirit is in the record.
Yeah, I think that I imagine that at that time, just like this, the space of Christmas music is probably feels hokey as you're doing it, and it also is probably just oversaturated. So you got to find some kind of angle to keep yourself interested.
Yeah.
I imagine, but that's just me putting myself in the Venture's shoes.
It's weird that none of it. I mean, like, this is a great album, but like none of this is like a standard. You don't. There's no track off of this that you're like, oh yeah, I've heard that.
You mean like their version of it?
Their version
Yeah,
of it.
Yeah.
Which is strange because, like, I do think that even though it's an oversaturated market, Christmas records, my impression of them at least is like artists do them because they're sort of this cash cow that you can count on like at least a certain amount of success with it. And because this record is so good, it seems like one of the versions of these songs would be something that became kind of a standard. But I don't know. It was entirely new to me.
It makes me wonder if, because they're all just instrumentals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the ones that stand, songs that have penetrated and have become, part of the lexicon or whatever, usually are synonymous with some voice.
Well, I really enjoyed the album, and
Except Mannheim Steamroller. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. I guess that's the one that, yeah, go ahead.
Well, what I kind of find interesting, and I don't know, this is something that maybe isn't as true today, or it's harder to find, but I know all the lyrics to these songs. Like, it's like it's like someone who grows up in a church choir, hears the hymnals and knows the tracks, someone who is listening to, turn of the century big band jazz music. When someone's doing a jazz riff on Salt Peanuts, you don't need someone singing like salt peanuts to know that that's where it goes, and that, all the pieces are there.
Mm-hmm.
So that it was interesting to just like listen to something and be like, I know all these lyrics, and they're playing it with a guitar, vocoder, or keyboard or whatever. But just like, is there stuff in the lexicon now? Like, if someone took a track and riffed on it, like, would you know if they weren't singing the lyrics? Like, would you be able to know the lyrics? Like, I guess
think so.
Moog Cookbook did it a little
Yeah.
bit, but
I think a hook's a hook, and they're timeless. So if if you're still paying attention to music and some song has a great hook, it's just always gonna remind you of that song,
that voodoo surf rock. I wonder if this stuff is on like those Rhino Christmas albums.
Is there a Rhino Christmas record?
There's remember there was all those.
Yeah, well, I remember they put out and them and K-Tel used to put out
Yeah.
all these.
It's like Rhino would do collections of like cocktail lounge music.
Yeah.
And this falls like right in that. And there was definitely a Christmas one. And I can't imagine these weren't on there.
Yeah, I'd like to keep my eyes open for that. That I bet you that'd be a pretty good collection.
In terms of album, other Christmas music, I think we've hit them.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough to like.
Any kind of like novelty ones that stand out? I remember Pee Wee Herman did a song in
Yeah.
the 80s.
It's usually like a song. I feel like there was one album that.
Yeah, most
I
of
had.
most of the stuff that sticks around was a part of a record, but you don't remember the rest of the record. You just remember that one song.
Right. I wonder, like, kind of pairing it with TV specials. Like, was there like an album for the Muppet Christmas special with John Denver?
John Denver and the Muppets, I think they did have an album for that. I mean, certainly if they didn't, that would be a huge oversight, but I'm pretty sure that they did.
Yeah, and I feel like there were.
I think John Denver put out several Christmas
Yeah.
records. records too. I mean,
Do you think
aside
there were
from
Star
that.
Wars Christmas records? There was that
There's
disco
that disco
one.
one. Well, I'm sure they put out an awesome soundtrack that went along with that awesome Christmas special. Like that who can forget the dance scene and that amazing music when Grandpa Scratchy or whatever Itchy is watching that kind of like VR porn or whatever.
Have you listened to other Ventures albums? Anybody else?
Yeah, I think most people have heard one or two Ventures songs just through, like I said, watching a Quentin Tarantino film, Pulp Fiction or something. They've popped up.
Is that most famous Pulp Fiction track? Is that the Ventures? There's
That's
like one
Dick-
surf
Dick-
rock.
Dick- Dick Dale.
That's Dick Dale.
That's Dick
Yeah.
Dale.
Talk amongst yourselves. I'll tell you which song comes off of that.
Oh,
So, guys, what are you doing for Christmas?
Oh man, going to South Carolina.
Yeah,
What are you doing for Christmas, Dan?
going back to Central Illinois to my tiny hometown of 5,000 people,
Wow.
where I'm gonna sit in my parents' basement and not do anything.
yay!
Did you do your Christmas shopping?
I am like the crassest person when it comes to Christmas shopping. I just do it all online, like in one fell swoop. And I feel like guilty about it. I feel guilty that I'm not like going out and like really thinking about, what each person
No.
needs and like going to a bunch of stores.
Let your
and-
fingers do the walking.
Yeah.
Well, I do a lot of thinking about it, but I still just order it online.
Yeah.
Did you get your shopping done? Did you get the nephew these
No.
Legos?
No, I have not yet. I need to do that
Dude,
soon.
John, spoiler. One of his nephews listening.
He's not because he doesn't speak English. It's okay.
That's right. That's right. It's safe.
They get podcasts in France.
They do, but I don't think
His
my-
grandmother is
I don't think
like
my family
translating
knows
it for
about it.
him.
Transcribes
listen, they listen to it for a second. She pauses it and goes, "This is the part where Keith, says another dumb thing." She translates it into French.
But she does your voice
That's
too.
right.
Like
she
No, I have not done my shopping. I actually have just been assigned somebody for the Secret Santa gift exchange.
yeah, I have to give my brother my list for that.
But the interestingly enough, the Ventures were in a couple of Quentin Tarantino records. Their song "The Lively Ones" and a version of the song called "Noki Edwards" were
In what
Ventures
movie?
songs from Pulp Fiction and Surf Rider. They got a legacy.
Good stuff.
Yep, Merry
Are
Christmas.
Are there other holidays that have records?
We used to listen to this St. Patrick's Day body
Or like
like
Irish ballads?
pub songs type of thing. Yeah. So that's something. And there are definitely mixes for, I made a mix for Thanksgiving and I made a mix for Halloween as well.
But I
But
feel
yeah,
like
there's Halloween albums for sure.
yeah, I feel like there's been attempts made at other holidays, but they don't really stick.
Yeah, what's Thanksgiving is like Over the River and Through the Woods, which is basically like pre-Christmas
Our
song.
our favorite Deb Talon has a song called Thanksgiving. It's really beautiful. Pete Seeger has a song called Sweet Potatoes. It goes right on the Thanksgiving mix.
There's We Gather Together, the hymn that's very Thanksgiving-y. And then I guess Hal's Restaurant is
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all Thanksgiving. Autumn in New York by what's her name? Billie Holiday. I guess everything has a mix if you can find the association. But
Christmas
not the,
albums are, yeah.
well,
ubiquitous.
historically, it's so White Christmas by Bing Crosby is one of the highest selling recordings of all time. It's still every year scoots back up. It's higher than just about anything you can imagine. It's one of the top selling songs of all time.
I think it might be I think I read somewhere, like, I don't know. I don't want to spread misinformation, but I think I read that it was.
Go ahead,
the
man. Go
top
for it.
selling.
I know it's always neck and neck with something else. And-
Yeah.
It's Jimmy Stort's album from It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, yeah. The spoken word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Darling.
Yeah, it's either that. Yeah, it's either that or the Leonard Nimoy album.
Yeah.
Bilbo Baggins.
Greatest
Only
little-
3 feet tall.
Greatest little hobbit of them all.
Greatest little hobbit. I had that, well, in the 2000s, ended up getting that. And there's some fun songs in there like, I've seen the clouds from both sides now. It's just, it's really cute.
I had
really
a
like it.
hammer.
Yeah.
I'd hammer in the morning.
It really enunciates.
Yeah.
You got to give it to
All
Nimoy.
over this land.
Yes.
I'd ring out
I
danger.
do have a hammer, and I will hammer. Yeah.
I will ring a bell in the morning.
And what's the one where it's a song by Nimoy that's well, this thing's really spiraling. We're not even talking about anything. We're just kind of like trying to find
Songs
stuff
that
to
we
talk
like.
about. Yeah.
Well,
But
so-
Nimoy's talking about like highly illogical. It's a song about
yeah,
like
yeah,
things
yeah.
that happen on Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like weirdly sexist at different points
Yeah.
too. Like it's like women do this, and it's highly illogical.
Yeah.
So whose like modern day whose Christmas album would you want to hear?
Like who hasn't
mean
made
like-
one?
Who hasn't made one?
There's also-
Wilco? Wilco
Wilco's
maybe?
Christmas.
That'd be
Wilco
kind of
and Billy
fun.
Bragg do
Nah, I don't need
do,
Billy Bragg.
a very mermaid Christmas.
I almost feel like we got to double check all these because there's a chance they have made one.
It's true. Well, Wilco, I would know, actually. I pretty much have everything. of theirs.
So I'm confirming, by the way, that Bing Crosby's version of White Christmas is the top-selling single of all time,
There we go.
followed by "Candle in the Wind" 1997,
Really? That's the
Yeah,
number
re-
2?
Wow.
and then we go back to Christmas with Bing Crosby's "Silent Night."
Way to go,
Well,
Bing.
I mean, Candle in the
Owning
Wind is a
Christmas.
Christmas song now for me. That version,
Candle in the
Princess Di one.
Yeah. You don't celebrate Christmas. You celebrate the day that Princess Di died.
No, she ascended into a beacon of light
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
and went back in time and guided the three wise men.
She's great.
Oh, I
She's
see.
really great.
Maybe a Hans Zimmer Christmas album.
You really love the movie scores. Huh?
Sure do.
I feel like you could just put together a bunch of songs from Hans Zimmer and it would sound like a Christmas record.
Really?
If I
Didn't
was
he
gonna-
do American Beauty? Like, I feel like that would...
Yeah, maybe.
I feel like this
I
is,
meant it as kind of a joke.
Willow's on my Christmas mix from now on.
I feel like this is not like something she would never do. But I'm a big Nico Case fan. I think she would have a lovely voice for Christmas
That
songs.
would be cool. Or even just Broken Social Scene doing a Christmas thing would be pretty cool.
Amy Mann, another
Sure.
Christmassy.
Well, she does famously. She does a Christmas show every year
Oh,
at I think at Largo, or at least it used to be, and it would be like stand-up comedy and then some people doing some Christmas
Yeah.
stuff. One of my favorites, Grant Lee Phillips, always accompanied her on those.
I mean, it's too bad he's dead to the world now, but the Prairie Home Companion Christmas that we went to at Town Hall was pretty nice.
Why did to the world? What do you mean?
Oh, he's just got fired from Minnesota Public Radio for harassment claims.
Wow, no joke.
Yeah.
Garrison.
Yeah.
There you go.
I have a friend who
It's proof.
worked for Prairie Companion as a writer, and I asked her, I'm like, "Did you ever get? Did you?" And she's like, "No, but there were rumblings apparently
Wow.
before this came
Another
out."
one bites the dust.
I know.
Yeah.
It's-
Shake out the carpet, the rugs, man. Get
Yeah.
them all out of there, I guess.
But
It's Christmas time.
Christmas time.
Yeah.
On Lake Wobegon. Woe-betide.
Welcome to Lake Wobegon, where everyone's a little, where all the children are slightly above average,
Yeah.
where the people are a little bit gropey.
Who is? I would think like if we're talking soundtrack musical Christmas stuff, the Reznor, that duo doing a
Atticus Ross. and
Atticus
Trent
Ross and
Reznor.
Reznor Christmas, I would enjoy quite a bit.
Like from the Facebook movie era.
Facebook or yeah.
Okay,
Oh, they're still doing soundtracks.
Mhm.
great.
Or the guy who did the Moon soundtrack. I really like him. He also did Uprise or High Rise, that J.G. Ballard feature.
Was that movie any? Well, we gotta just end this because we're just babbling now. Does anyone have anything pertinent to say regarding my pick? That's not just rambling.
Dan, you're up.
No,
No.
Why?
Perfect. Moving
Why?
on. Would you recommend this to?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's fun renditions. There's no singing to get in the way of like the music. The music is
Also,
just
it's good
top-notch.
to you could just have it in the background of a Christmas party.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's ideal
And-
for that.
yeah.
It's also it's 27 minutes. It's like
The whole record.
super short.
Shorter than Weezer's Blue album.
Mhm. I think it's a good one. Like if it fills out a mix. It's solid. It's fun music, and I don't know. It's nice to like be able to just put an album on, and it's one of those where it fills the space and sounds good.
So good. Everybody loves it.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
So where can people get it or listen to it?
I think people can get it on Spotify. It just depends on what you can get it everywhere. So whatever you subscribe to or whatever you use most. I bought it on iTunes a long time ago.
Yeah.
So.
And did Don Wilson pass away recently? Like I think as of
Who's
2007
Don Wilson?
or whatever his name is,
Brian
the-
Wilson?
No,
Or
the
Carl
lead
Wilson?
the lead guitarist for
Oh, for the Ventures.
Well, he's the rhythm guitarist for the
Yeah, I don't
Ventures.
know.
I think he was like the one guy from the beginning, and I think he, as of 2017, is no longer in the band.
Well, that's a bummer.
But they had a pretty big crew for a long time, and in the late 60s, early 70s, they had a lot of different keyboardists. Jules, when you listen to albums
Yes, apparently he died in 2017. So
okay,
yes.
so when you listen to albums in France, are there like French Holy Night and all that? Like, do all these tracks? Like, is there a French version of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or any like more commercial tracks?
Or like the song Noel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Noel.
Noel's a big one. I mean,
like Frère Jacques.
I mean, there's definitely like Noel's a big one, and there's a lot of like France is like mostly Catholic. Not like most people aren't really like practicing, but they'll go to church. Like, a lot of people will go to church for Christmas service, that kind of thing. And so most of them are like, you know, all the same religious-y kind of Christmas songs
Hymnal.
are there. Yeah.
Speaking of French songs, if you want a great terrible Christmas song, I cannot recommend more highly. It's Christmas, Say Noel by Geordie.
Oh yes.
Come see, yes.
The little the baby singing
La la,
star.
baby.
Yeah.
Who this song, if you look at the video, this song was done for Look Who's Talking Now, I believe, which is a movie that we watched for the Flophouse podcast, and
The third of the Look Who's Talking
third
movies,
Look Who's Talking movie,
where it was the dogs this time.
exactly
Danny
And-
DeVito, I think.
Yeah. And this Geordie music video plays over the credits, the end credits to it. And it was like worth watching the entire movie to have like this baffling French kid pop star like just pop up at the end, and there's like a weird video where he's in a toy dollhouse, and Kirstie Alley and John Travolta are running around. Just look it up. It's Christmas,
Weird.
Say Noel. It's
Love
so
it.
much fun.
Love it.
Does the film like end in a Christmas thing? Or?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's sad at Christmas.
Gotcha.
They were like, how do we up the stakes, set it in Christmas, and add talking dogs?
Yeah.
We've done everything with the Look Who's Talking franchise. How do we top it?
Well, if the Leprechaun franchise has taught us anything, next they're going to go to space, and then they're
The
going to go
sky's
to
the
the hood.
Look Who's Talking in the hood.
Oh no. Yes. So Keith, good pick.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. So that people should be listening to it. It's getting closer and closer.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
time.
So right
Yeah, I
now,
mean,
add
let's
it
do
to
it.
your playlist.
Yeah. We've already had several Christmas specials air
Yeah.
by the time this airs, so.
Such a question, there are many possible answers, such as hard work.
Feel I'm alone in this whole of existence. I know it takes time, but I'm losing my persistence. The distance is too far to fetch, so I sketch on pages and hope that some catch the thoughts.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening to another episode of New to You Show. I was one of your hosts, John Holt. You can find me on Twitter at LordJoho and on Instagram at board_ghost. And you can find my RPG storytelling podcast at boardghost.com. And you can find my book club podcast at woundandstab.com. We are working our way through House of Leaves by Mark Danielewski. So yeah, Keith, where can people find you?
You can see some art and animation of mine on earthlingkeith.com. What about you, Julian?
You can find me on Twitter or Instagram at BeautifulJules. And how about you, Dan?
You can find me on Twitter at Dan K. McCoy. That's Dank McCoy. And also you can go to flophousepodcast.com for my podcast, The Flophouse.
All right. And so as of this airing, you have just come back from San Francisco and you smell
And thanks
like
for
sourdough.
Thanks for flying, making the flight.
Yeah, sure. I love this construct, by the way. Let's keep it up.
Do you have anything
No
else
one
coming
will
up
ever
before
know.
the holiday ends?
What's now?
Do you have anything else coming up before the holiday ends?
For the holiday?
Or
end?
whatever, like before
to promo?
now and Christmas time?
Just be nice to each other. I'm gonna promote that.
All right.
Also, he's gonna have some awesome tweets.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have the
I can
dankest
feel
tweets.
it. I can feel it.
All right. So before we roll into what's coming up next week and roll out of here, Dan, what was new to you this week?
So, my brother, who I saw over Thanksgiving, introduced me to Lady Dynamite on Netflix, which is a show that I don't think has gotten all that much attention
It hasn't.
compared to like a lot of Netflix shows. And I understand why. It's definitely like a niche sensibility, but I think it's a shame because I find it really funny. It's Maria Bamford's show. It has her, and it has like a lot of her comedian friends pop up. Like Patton Oswalt shows up in it. I forget who all else, but it's got how do you pronounce his name? Fred Malamed. I don't know. He was the guy who was in A Serious Man as the insufferable person that his wife left him for as Maria Bamford's agent, and he's very funny. And the show is very surreal. It breaks with reality in a lot of ways. It's structured very interestingly. It covers 3 different time periods. It covers the present, Maria's present. It covers Maria's past, and it covers this period where she had a mental breakdown and she was back home in Duluth. And it weaves them all in together intricately, which is no surprise because I didn't realize this before I started watching it, but it's produced by Mitch Hurwitz, who did Arrested Development. So it's got some of the same intricacy as that show.
And I've not watched it. I've heard the second season actually is evolved and has more heart and has like Arrested Development kind of just kept going and petered out maybe a little bit, whereas it sounds like they've re-examined some stuff from the first season, and not that the first season wasn't strong, but
I feel like
seasons.
Netflix gives people the freedom to do that, because I feel like the Master of None show got like twice as good, like 200% better in the second season. Like in fact I found it almost insufferable in the first season, but the second season is like really good. And they just kind of gave him that room to do that.
Yeah, I'm glad
find his way. Sorry.
I'm glad you're reminding me of Lady Dynamite because I watched like most of the first season, but then kind of forgot about it. But I really liked it, and it's still, even though it has that like clever structure and all that, it's still very Maria Bamford. So if you like her stand up,
It's
still like very much her personality and.
And
I like
as
that.
someone who's struggled to some degree with depression, I find it very relatable. She's a person who has had like a lot of issues, but perseveres and does great work. And so, like, even though it's a very silly show and very funny, and I don't want to put anyone off, like, and scare them away from it by saying that it deals with mental illness. Like, there's also that seriousness of purpose underneath all the really funny stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Like humanizing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like very similar vein, I started watching One Mississippi, the Tig Notaro Amazon Prime show. And it's also really excellent and also very like Tig Notaro, and really, I would check it out.
Cool.
It's really good.
So Lady Dynamite's on Netflix right now?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Dan. So to find links to Lady Dynamite, the Ventures album, and all the stuff that we've talked about, go to nudioushow.com. You can follow us on Twitter at NudioShow, where we don't very tweet much. We don't. We don't tweet very much. And you can, follow us on iTunes or your favorite listening device. Subscribe. We're on Google's platform as well. Rate and review us if you would be so kind. And that's about it. Next week, we'll roll into Jules's pick. Jules, what are you bringing to the table?
I'm bringing the 2010 movie The Nutcracker in 3D.
All right.
So, if you got 2
So
hours.
This is the perfect medium for discussing it.
A Hungarian UK co-production.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, so if
All
you got a
right.
couple hours, check it out.
And where's that viewable?
It is viewable currently on YouTube. I don't know if that'll last. and I didn't.
But you
really...
can buy it.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
on
sure.
DVD.
I'm sure you can buy
There's
it.
there's a 3D 4K version.
I don't
You
think
can go
Jules would.
into an alley and
You know,
buy it from some hobo.
you can check out a trailer or something first. Make sure you know what
There
you're getting
Seems to me
into.
like Jules is hesitant to say go ahead and buy
I
this. Spend money on
recommend
this
the
thing.
4K Blu-ray 3D version of it.
Yeah,
That's
cost you
Sure.
$60,
Sure.
but
get the full
Nice.
experience.
Yeah.
If you want to, go for it.
Do it for Christmas. Get one for everyone for
For
Christmas.
Christmas sake.
vintage Elle Fanning.
Yeah. All right. So go buy that, and
And then we'll see you next week.
we'll see you next week.
Yeah,
It may not be new,
but
Maybe
maybe,
it was
it's
new
new
to
to
you.
you. Explosion sound.
This pitiful life is all about the music. 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 This pitiful life is all about the music.
Be with him together forever, without the limitation of time ever again. So the second coming of the Lord is not dead.